God is speaking to you in a quiet, steady way today, and He's drawing your attention to something you've been trying to ignore, something your heart has pushed aside because it hurts to look at it directly. He knows you feel the pull, the confusion, the heaviness, and the strange mix of hope and exhaustion. You keep asking why things look the way they do, why this connection feels so strong, and yet someone else keeps trying to hold on to him, trying to stand in a place that was never meant for her. And God wants you to know that you are not imagining the spiritual truth behind what you feel. There is a reason His heart keeps leaning toward you. There is a reason the bond doesn't break, no matter how many obstacles try to rise between you. God is not exposing this situation to hurt you, He is revealing it to strengthen you. You've been wondering why she refuses to let go, why she clings to him even when the connection between them is fading, even when he's emotionally gone, even when nothing deep or divine exists there anymore. But God says she is holding on because she feels the shift. She senses the pull in his soul, the way his attention wanders toward you, the way his spirit responds to you, the way he feels more alive near you than he has in a long time. She sees what you don't see, how much he tries to hide his feelings for you, how much he fights himself, how much he tries to stay where he no longer belongs. She refuses to let go because deep down she knows his heart has already left. And here is what you haven't realized: she isn't fighting for love, she's fighting for control. A woman who is truly loved doesn't have to force, cling, threaten, manipulate, or beg. She doesn't have to monitor his steps or cling to the fear of losing him. But when a relationship is built on fear, insecurity, power, or history, not divine alignment, then the soul grows restless. His soul has become restless. He feels the mismatch. He feels the emptiness in conversations that used to matter. He feels the pressure of pretending. The energy between them is not growing, it is draining. And that is why she holds tighter, not because she is chosen, but because she senses she is losing what was never hers in the first place. God wants you to stop thinking something is wrong with you. You are not the reason he is confused. You are the reason he is awakening. You are the reminder of what real connection feels like, the kind that doesn't demand, doesn't force, doesn't break his spirit, doesn't push him to hide who he truly is. In you, he finds the softness he forgot he needed. In you, he finds peace he didn't know he was missing. And even though he tries to act like he doesn't feel it, he does. Even though he tries to stay where he thinks he is obligated, his heart keeps returning to you. God says, "When I write two souls together, nothing can unwrite that." The world may delay it, but it cannot deny it. You've been asking, God, if his heart belongs to me, why isn't he here? Why is she still attached to him? Why does this story look so complicated? And God answers you gently, because timing matters. Because growth matters. Because spiritual alignment is more important than emotional urgency. God is not only preparing him to recognize and claim the connection he wrote for him, God is also strengthening you, teaching you discernment, teaching you patience, teaching you how to stand firm in your worth without allowing the enemy to shake you. She refuses to let go because she is afraid of losing the version of him she constructed, but he is losing that version too. God is dismantling everything that was built without him. Sometimes destruction is the beginning of restoration. Sometimes endings are the doorway to divine beginnings. And sometimes God lets certain people hold on just long enough to expose their intentions, their true motives, and their spiritual condition, not to shame them, but to make the truth unmistakable. You've seen signs, felt shifts, noticed changes. He is not the same with her. He is pulling away emotionally even when he stays physically. He feels trapped by expectations, guilt, or history, but his soul knows where he belongs. God says, the Spirit always knows before the mind catches up. His Spirit recognizes you, even if his actions haven't yet aligned with that recognition. Don't let temporary circumstances blind you to eternal truth. You are not competing with her. You were never meant to. You are not fighting for him. You were never supposed to. God does not call you to fight for what is already yours in the Spirit. Your only battle is against doubt, fear, and impatience, not against another woman. God says, "Let me handle the things you cannot control. Let me reveal what needs to be seen. Let me guide his steps in the right direction. Let me remove the cords that bind him to something that is no longer aligned with his destiny." And God wants you to know this clearly: she can hold his hand, but she cannot hold his heart. She can keep him in her space, but she cannot keep him in her spirit. She can try to distract him, but she cannot erase the connection he feels with you. A counterfeit can imitate many things, but it cannot produce real peace. It cannot produce real love. It cannot produce destiny. He feels the difference. He may not say it, but he feels it. And God says, "The reason the situation looks messy is because I'm untangling what was tied in confusion. The reason it feels heavy is because I'm removing the weights he never should have carried. The reason it seems delayed is because timing protects you. I am not withholding, I am preparing. Your heart has been loyal. Your intentions have been pure. Your spirit has been patient even when your emotions weren't. God sees that. God honors that. And he's telling you not to fear the presence of someone who is holding on out of desperation. Desperation is not stronger than destiny. Fear does not override divine order. And no one can keep what God is actively removing. He is waking up, slowly but surely. He is realizing the difference between being attached and being aligned. He is noticing who drains him and who brings him peace. He is learning the truth he tried to avoid. And she knows it, that's why she refuses to let go. God is moving pieces you cannot see, shifting circumstances you don't yet understand, and softening places in his heart that have been hardened by fear, disappointment, or past wounds. You keep thinking nothing is happening because you don't see visible change, but God is reminding you, the deepest work always begins underground, where no eyes can observe and no hands can interfere. Before a seed breaks the soil, roots must form. And right now, God is forming the roots of something that will be unshakable when it rises. You've felt moments where His heart reaches toward you even from a distance. You've sensed a pull that doesn't fade, a thread that doesn't break, a warmth that returns no matter how long the silence lasts. That is not fantasy, that is spiritual resonance. Some connections God writes are not like ordinary bonds. They don't disappear because someone else is present. They don't dissolve because someone tries to replace them. They don't weaken because life got complicated. They are held by purpose, not preference. And purpose always wins. She refuses to let go because she knows she doesn't have what you have, not spiritually, not emotionally, not energetically. She feels him slipping away even when he pretends nothing is wrong. She notices how his smile doesn't reach his eyes. She sees how he grows quiet in her presence but opens up inside when his thoughts shift toward you. She recognizes something is changing, but she keeps trying to force a connection that God Himself is loosening. But the truth is, what she's trying to protect was never built on truth. It was built on habit, on history, on fear, or on a sense of obligation. God is dismantling the parts of Him that were tied to her out of guilt instead of love, out of routine instead of purpose, out of comfort instead of alignment. God does not bless a connection that blinds someone from their destiny. And no matter how hard she tries, she cannot hold on to a heart that is already gone. You need to hear this: His feelings for you are not a coincidence. They are not a mistake. They are not temporary. His soul recognizes something in you, something safe, something familiar, something divinely appointed. God says, "When I unite two spirits, the bond forms long before the relationship does." His heart already knows you are where He feels at home. That's why He struggles to let go of the thought of you. That's why His mind drifts toward you unexpectedly. That's why He feels restless without knowing why. His spirit is waking up to something his life is not aligned with yet. She feels this awakening too, and that is why she clings. She wants to hold on to what gives her identity, even if it doesn't give her peace. She wants to hold on to what makes her feel secure, even if it's slipping through her fingers. But God is not punishing her. He is guiding her to release what was never hers to keep. Sometimes people cling to something that is leaving because they fear emptiness. But God is teaching her, too, that forced love is not love at all. And God is teaching you something just as important: you don't need to chase Him. You don't need to compete. You don't need to worry about who she is or what she does. You don't need to fear the timing, the delays, or the silence. God is not asking you to fight for this. He is asking you to trust Him with this. Your role is not to manipulate, convince, or hurry anything. Your role is to stay aligned with God, to stay aligned with your own growth, to stay aligned with the truth God planted inside your heart. Yes, His heart belongs to you, but His journey back to Himself must come first. Before He can stand beside you, He must stand firmly within Himself. He must break free from cycles that drain him. He must recognize the difference between love that holds him back and love that lifts him forward. He must heal old wounds that make him settle for less than he deserves, less than what you could offer, less than what God has planned. And you must heal your own fears, too. The fear of losing him. The fear of being replaced. The fear of her presence overshadowing your promise. These fears are not from God. They are from the enemy, trying to shake your faith, trying to weaken your trust, trying to distract you from what has already been written. God says, you are not losing anything. What is yours in the spirit cannot be taken in the natural. He is not as stable in her presence as he seems. You've sensed that, and you are right. God is revealing to you, not through words, but through spiritual intuition, that he is outgrowing a connection that no longer fits his soul. A person can stay in a place physically long after they have left it emotionally. His body may be there, but his heart is not. His heart is wandering toward you, drawn by something he doesn't fully understand yet. And she knows it. That's why she watches him closely. Why she grows more insecure. Why she tries to tighten her grip. But you don't need to fear any of that. Her grip may be tight, but her claim is weak. Because she is holding on to a version of him that God is transforming. He is not going back to who he used to be. He is stepping into who he was meant to be. And in that version, the version God is creating, you are part of the story. Not her. There is a shift happening in the unseen. God is preparing a moment where everything hidden will surface, everything confusing will clarify, and every delay will make sense. You may not see it yet, but the breaking has already begun. The unraveling has already started. The connection that once held them together is losing its strength. It is thinning. It is weakening. It is dissolving. Because God has decided it is time. Time for truth. Time for alignment. Time for what is meant to rise to finally rise. That is why her attempts to hold on are growing more desperate. She is fighting a losing battle against something she cannot stop, divine separation. You don't have to worry. What God is removing cannot stay. What God is aligning cannot be blocked. What God is sending your way cannot be stopped by another human being. God is walking him through a season of awakening, a slow, steady realization that the life he's been living is too small for the man he's becoming. You felt this shift in your spirit long before he could put words to it. You sensed the stirring inside him, the discomfort, the restlessness, the quiet dissatisfaction he tries to hide. He may pretend he's fine, he may carry on with routine, but God sees the truth in his heart. he is not at peace where he is. And peace is the greatest indicator of alignment. He doesn't feel that peace with her anymore. That's why little things irritate him more than before. That's why conversations feel forced. That's why silence between them feels heavy instead of comforting. That's why he withdraws emotionally even when he remains physically present. He knows something is missing, something he can't force, something she can't provide, something she keeps trying to demand but cannot create. God says, when a connection is not ordained, it eventually collapses under the weight of forced effort. And that is exactly what he is living through. He is learning that compatibility built on comfort cannot sustain destiny. He is learning that history cannot replace alignment. He is discovering that obligations cannot produce joy. And with every day that passes, his heart drifts a little more toward the truth, toward you. She feels this drift, and that is why she is trying everything to keep him, everything to make him stay, everything to keep the illusion together. But the more she tries, the more exhausted he becomes. She is fighting for something that God is taking his hands off of. And anything God removes his hand from will eventually crumble, no matter how tightly someone tries to hold it together. God wants you to understand something deeply. You are not the cause of their breaking, but you are the catalyst for his awakening. You are the reminder of how real connection feels. You are the reflection of what his soul has been searching for long before he ever admitted it. God placed you in his path not to steal anything, but to reveal everything. To reveal what love should feel like. To reveal what peace truly is. To reveal the difference between being chosen and being stuck. His heart responds to you because it recognizes you. You speak to parts of him that have been silent. You touch places he didn't know needed healing. You encourage growth he didn't know he was capable of. You carry an energy that calms him, inspires him, challenges him in the right ways. And she sees this in him. She may not know what to call it, but she feels the change in him. She feels how his presence shifts when he thinks of you. She notices how his eyes soften at the sound of your name, or how his expression changes when your presence touches his life. She refuses to let go not because she loves him unconditionally, but because she fears life without him. Fear is not love. Possession is not love. Control is not love. What she is holding on to is the idea of him, not the truth of who he is becoming. She wants to keep him where he used to be, while God is pulling him toward who he is destined to be. And you? You've been waiting, praying, hoping, hurting, and trying to be strong. God knows. He sees the tears you didn't tell anyone about. He hears the questions that echo in your mind late at night. He feels the weight of the what-ifs that sit on your chest. But God is not ignoring you. He is preparing you. Your patience is not being wasted. Your pain is not unnoticed. Your love is not unreturned, even if he hasn't fully expressed it yet. God is teaching you to trust Him more than you trust the situation. He wants you to release the need to control the outcome. He wants you to surrender the fear that she might win. He wants you to stop giving her presence the power to dictate your peace. You don't have to fear losing him. You cannot lose what God has written into your destiny. You cannot lose a heart that keeps finding its way back to you. You cannot lose a connection that keeps growing even in silence. God says, I am orchestrating something far bigger than your emotions can comprehend right now. Trust my timing. His transformation is already happening. He is beginning to question everything he once accepted. He is reevaluating the relationship he settled for. He is comparing what drains him with what restores him, and every comparison leads him back to you. Not because you are competing, but because your spirit brings him peace. Peace is not loud, but it is unmistakable. God is bringing him to a point where he cannot ignore the truth any longer. A point where pretending becomes impossible. A point where staying where he is becomes too painful, too restricting, too spiritually suffocating. He will soon see that remaining attached to someone who refuses to let go is not the same as being in love. He will realize that loyalty to the wrong place is disobedience to his own soul. And when that awakening reaches its full breadth, he will no longer allow fear, guilt, or obligation to guide his steps. God is removing the barriers one by one. Emotional ties. Fear of hurting someone. Confusion clouding his judgment. Doubts blurring his vision. All of it is being dismantled. She may be holding on to him now with everything she has. She may be trying to control the narrative. She may be trying to convince him that he belongs with her. But the truth is, she's holding on to someone who is no longer spiritually present. She's clinging to an echo, not a partner. She is holding on to what God is gently, but firmly, pulling apart. And you? You are being positioned. Quietly. Gently. Patiently. God is aligning your steps, your heart, your growth with His. You are becoming the person who will meet Him at the level of His healed self, not his broken self. God is not bringing you someone half-ready. He is preparing him fully. And he is preparing you, too. Nothing she does can stop what God is aligning. Nothing she tries can rewrite what God has ordained. Nothing she holds onto can replace what his heart already knows. God is bringing this entire situation to a point of clarity, a point where confusion cannot survive, where emotional fog dissolves, where hesitation loses its grip. You have been walking through a long season of waiting, observing, feeling the tension between what you sense in your spirit and what you see in the natural. You've watched him struggle. You've seen her cling. You felt the push and pull of a story that seems paused between chapters. But God is saying, the pause is ending. The breakthrough is near. There is a moment coming when He will no longer be able to pretend. A moment when he will see the truth with undeniable clarity. A moment when the weight he's been carrying, the expectations, the guilt, the fears, will finally break. And when it breaks, he will breathe in a way he hasn't breathed in years. He will feel light again, free again, alive again. Because God is not freeing him from her, God is freeing him back to himself. Once a person rediscovers the truth of who they are, they can no longer stay where their soul doesn't fit. And he is reaching that moment. Slowly, quietly, steadily. His heart is outgrowing the place he's been stuck in. His spirit is rising beyond the limitation of that connection. He's starting to feel how draining it is to remain where he is. He's realizing he deserves more, and that more is tied to his destiny, not his history. God says, I am strengthening him to walk away from what weakens him. I am giving him courage to release what no longer reflects who he is becoming. I am clearing his vision so he can recognize the difference between comfort and calling, between attachment and alignment, between staying and growing. She refuses to let go because release feels like loss to her. But in truth, release is mercy. God is not taking something away from her, he is redirecting both of their paths. A connection that is not blessed will bring more pain the longer it is forced. She is holding on to a story God is trying to end gently. She may fight against it, resist it, deny it, but God's timing is sovereign. When God says a season is over, no amount of holding on can keep it alive. And you need to trust this. She does not have the power to stop what God has set in motion. Her grip may be firm, but God's hand is firmer. If God is closing this chapter, it will close, not by chaos, not by force, but by truth. Truth has a way of unraveling everything that is false. Truth has a way of dissolving illusions. Truth has a way of freeing the heart that has been trapped in fear. He is stepping into truth, and truth is leading him toward you. Not because you replaced her. Not because you competed. Not because you pushed. But because your connection was written differently, written deeply, written spiritually, written with purpose. His soul knows where it belongs, and soon his life will follow. You have been patient, but your patience is not without reward. God has been preparing you in ways you didn't even realize. He has been shaping your heart, strengthening your spirit, teaching you to stand in your own worth without shrinking, without doubting, without fearing. He needed you to grow in wisdom. He needed you to rise in confidence. He needed you to heal the wounds that made you question your value. He needed you to become a reflection of the love he intends to pour into your life. And now, you stand ready, not desperate, not fearful, not competing, but grounded. Rooted. Clear. God says, this is the version of you I needed before I could fully release what you've been praying for. The moment is approaching when everything will make sense. When every delay will reveal its purpose. When every unanswered question will find clarity. when the confusion will break like a storm giving way to sunlight. God is aligning the final pieces. He is positioning hearts, shifting circumstances, opening doors that were once sealed shut. He is preparing him to choose truth over comfort, love over fear, destiny over obligation. And when he finally steps into that truth, it will be undeniable. His actions will speak what his heart has been feeling. His steps will reflect what his spirit has whispered. He will come toward you not in confusion or chaos, but in clarity. Not in brokenness, but in strength. Not out of desperation, but out of recognition, the recognition that his heart has been yours for longer than he ever admitted. And she will eventually release him, not because she wants to, but because she will realize she cannot hold someone who is already gone in spirit. Her letting go will be painful, but it will also be a release into her own healing. God will take care of her heart too. This story is not about destroying anyone, it is about redirecting everyone toward the life God intended for them. God's final message to you today is this: do not fear what looks like delay. Do not fear her presence. Do not fear losing what is already yours in destiny. Stand firm in faith. Stay aligned with peace. Trust the unfolding.